Welcome back to Daredevil Born Again. This is the finale, episode 9, Straight to Hell. Last time we had the ball. Uh, Poindexter escaped. He was aiming for Fisk. Matt pushed him out the way. After some thinking about it and seeing some takes online, I do think it was a smart play. People pointed out that by saving Fisk, it prevents Fisk from outing Matt for one, because Matt is, responsible for saving his life in the public eye. It's a very strategic political move almost to be the one to save Fisk. And it also, has negative points towards his anti-vigilante thing, because even if he does out him as, hey, this is Daredevil, well, the fact is he just saved your life. So, what does it matter that he is a vigilante at this point? The little recap here for this episode, I don't know, it just didn't feel like a finale, and I'm really hoping we get that feeling for this episode. They brought up the point about Hector Ayala dying, being shot by the Punisher wannabe or whatever. I feel like we didn't really pick up that plot point a lot. I know that it's inferred that it's basically undercover cops, or not undercover cops, but it's police that are sort of taking that too far, just kind of like the real world, that the Punisher has become like a cop symbol almost. But I just wish they had more of an overt, or at least just identify who was the one who pulled the trigger. Maybe we'll get that this episode, who knows. Anyways, apologize if I seem low energy. I was just literally rotting in bed for half the day. It's already the afternoon, and I was just I need to watch this episode. It sucks that I'm feeling this way, but I need to see how this ends. So I'll muster up everything that I can, and I'm excited to see where we go for this finale. I know that Punisher is going to show up. Frank is going to show up in this episode, so that's already good. Yeah, I don't know where we go from here. So let's get in this episode, see what happens. Now we're at a hospital. Oh, is this a Bullseye flashback?
All FBI corruption scandal agent Nadeem all that. It's why my husband was acquitted. Called Benjamin Cafaro. And his lawyer, Foggy Nelson.
Oh.
Remember him.
Unwanted light in some of my business practices.
That's it? Just because it's good.
It has to be soon.
Oh. God! Jeez. Well, it would expose my business practices, so we gotta kill off Foggy and this is defendant.
You're free.
I don't know if it was covered in the other shows. I know he shows up in Hawkeye, but it was nice to see the reasoning why he was released in the first place. Because at the end of season 3, I was under the impression that Fisk would be away forever, basically. But I guess because of, I like that they mentioned Ray Nadeem, but because of this FBI scandal and everybody, the corruption there, they got away on a loophole and got Fisk released. That sucks. It's nice that they mentioned him, but it also sucks that Ray died for nothing at this point now.
Karen?
Oh.
It's the drugs.
Vanessa Fisk ordered the hit on Foggy. This isn't the case. Foggy was working to get me
I was
access to
back to this shit.
I know how this sounds.
Is this the same night?
There'll be no body cams, no due process, no warrants.
Condoning the use of lethal
Condoning,
force.
absolutely not. Encouraging, Gallo! Encouraging!
God.
Your concerns are noted. Now you all have a job to do.
I don't understand her. I get what her role is, but I don't understand how she is employed.
Imagine if our fearless lawyer from Hell's Kitchen were to succumb his wounds.
Oh.
Those he's sustained by trying to save the mayor.
You see what I'm saying? Oh no. Well.
About threats.
Oh.
Public safety.
Who's he talking to?
So glad, sir.
Oh no.
Sometimes our reactions are worse than the offenses that cause them.
You're a very perceptive woman. I imagine that you know who in my staff is loyal and who is not.
God, I just feel so bad for her. Like, how did she get wrapped up in this
Send
shit?
everyone-
Oh God, is this Buck?
Crime spikes. Probably due to friends of his.
I wouldn't talk right here in the fucking mayor's
He turns a
home.
bunch of rogue cops into his own personal militia and sets them out as a kill squad against the vigilantes. And now he's trying to get his hands on the power switch to the city.
It's like, shit. Gotta get up. I just would not be talking right down the hall. Like, that's crazy talk.
We'll get through this. The city always does.
Okay. I was like, how is he gonna kill him? Because you can't just shoot him. But that makes sense. Oh, no way. How the... Oh my... Oh, that's... Okay. He had like an engineer in his office. That's why. Okay. Oh my gosh. He's just going back home? Somebody's here.
The last person I expected to find here.
Ah.
You know you're a wall-to-wall asshole. How do they call you now? Nightgown man.
What
Oh.
about you? After shaving a haircut? That all for me?
Yeah, I did it for you.
Thought this wasn't your fight? I'm not sure I want that kind of help, Frank.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of help you got.
I get why Buck went to go assassinate him, but like, what is this gonna do now? You know, why is he gonna raid Matt's home with cops? You know, like how is that justified? It was you? No way. Okay, they kind of butchered his character. they butchered his character. Oh my god. Ah! He didn't have to shoot through the open, the closed door, bitch. It's hilarious. I'm just gonna say, I love Matt's fantastical fucking. Okay. His billy clubs now, you know. Okay. Jesus. That's such a shame.
I still alone. I can die easy.
I'm just upset about the character assassination of Cole North.
Come on, he's really not worth it.
Frank, enough. You caused so much damage tonight. You were just painting the town red, but also painting such a target.
How about him? He worth it? How about
Ah.
What is wrong with you? You can't help yourself, can you?
Goddamn hands off of me!
My God. Really? Ah! Oh shit. No, who is you? What the fuck are you doing here? I'm assuming she's the one who called Frank.
Get in.
Because he mentioned that phone call or whatever, but still. Damn. I did not miss this part of The Punisher. Just sewing up his own wounds.
In this world, a good cup of coffee can't fix.
What's up with him and coffee?
You asked me for a favor. I did it.
Do you want a thank you or like? I don't know. Just, Karen, I did you a favor. Please say thank you. Oh gosh.
How are you holding up out here?
Yeah, so it's a blackout. Watching everything happen. What else am I gonna do?
How long has it been? Has it literally been one day? And you're still gonna shoot.
It's a mass vigilante.
Ah!
You talk to Frank a lot?
You know, back at his place, I heard your heartbeats.
God, that is really not fair. You hear mine when I saw you?
Adrenaline, I'm sure.
Ah. I like Karen with Frank, but I don't know what they're doing here.
Red Hook Charter 1855. Holy crap, it's a free port.
I mean, if it's a free port, she's doing it without customs, without taxation, without fear of seizures.
She could launder money legally.
Right. And now our mayor is building a new complex there. This charter would make it untouchable. This is about the Fists building their own city-state.
Oh wow. Okay.
Let's go see what they're hiding.
I'm confused about the timeline here. You know, what comparison to the gala event? What time is it? Is it the same night? It feels like it's the same night, but also it's so insane how much shit has happened that it's the same night. So that's why I want to believe there's been more time that has passed. You're just gonna leave the body out there? You're a terrible hitman. Not that I'm not shooting. Oh. Non-lethal. Now that's your first mistake. Why are you guys going non-lethal? We just want to talk. Ow. Please. It's the way they're all beating him up over this dead body.
This is still the mayor's office. It's not the hands. And he is.
Shelly, I get it. Shelly's her name, right? I was gonna call her Sarah, but I think that's her name from Gotham. Oh, he's dead. How big is this task force?
An honor to serve with you, Frank.
I do like that they're going here. It's stupid, but I do like that they're being pretty upfront about this plot point.
Hey, you're fucking mine, you know that?
Ow. The throat chop. No, don't do that. No. Not like that, Fisk. No way we're gonna do that. What? That's worse than what I thought was gonna happen.
Any questions?
I have a lot of questions. What the fuck? You know, I thought I had been kind of desensitized by violence, especially. Oh my god, I'm just even. Maybe not desensitized, but like I thought I had an expectation of what kind of violence we're gonna get in the show because it's being on Disney Plus and everything. But that was honestly, that was even on par, or maybe even worse than shit from the Marvel shows. Like, I love that Karen has the gumption, but this shit's not gonna go down. How does he have this many cops? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just underestimating how big New York is, but like, what the fuck?
But you can't beat him. Not like that. You have to be smart.
Where's Luke Cage? Like, I was thinking, like, we need someone bulletproof here, but also Luke Cage mayor storyline. Let's go. Come on. Let's just bring him in. People are going back to normal. Wow, that was a crazy night.
Thank you, Buck.
After one day, the power goes back on.
My administration's commissioner of mental health.
What?
It would be my honor, Mayor Fisk.
Heather. God. What was the point, Heather? What was the point?
Together. As you may know, there was an attempt on my life by a vigilante last night.
It was one day. It was one fucking day. This is crazy.
Power vigilante activity is illegal, and it will be dealt with accordingly. Curfew is at 8 p.m.
At 8? Do you know how much business that puts out?
New York City is under martial law.
The city that never sleeps? Why do I feel like this episode's about to end?
Karen, I wanted to kill him. The truth is, ever since Foggy died, I didn't know who I was anymore.
Foggy believed in you. Whatever you want to call yourself, whatever's behind the mask, behind your eyes.
I like this song. Maybe it's not. This is not the silent theme. I'm sorry. Is it? It is Radiohead. Okay, I do know this song. Who are these people? Back at Josie's bar.
The system isn't working.
All right.
It's rotten.
What?
Correct.
Frank. Oh my god. I'm really surprised they didn't kill Frank.
All of us.
Dex. So that's all cute and all, but like, what is the actual plan? Just get good PR. Okay. Oh, there is after credits. Okay. I guess it makes sense because I think I mentioned in one of the other earlier episodes that I had heard this was going to be like a full 18 episode, 20 episode season, but then they decided to split it into two, so it's like a part 1, part 2 now. So I can see where they're heading with this.
Petruccio. There you go, Anthony Petruccio. It's a good name. It's strong. Yeah. Yours.
What is he doing? All right, Frank. Is it?
Thank you, Anthony.
That's it. That's how he. Okay. Silly Billy. Okay. Let's talk about it. I don't know how to feel. Like, again, I'm trying to keep in mind this is initially it was supposed to be a 2-parter, and then all the production shit and the reshoots. So like, for all the Frankensteininess of it, I did enjoy the season. You know, giving it all that slack that it deserves because of, again, all the production bullshit going on. As far as like an actual standalone follow-up, whatever you want to call it, you know, pretend you didn't know anything about how it was produced, all the behind the scenes stuff, and you just took this as face value. It's kind of everywhere. it's kind of a mess of a season. You know, I do, cause like just think about all the people that were included in the reshoots. We have John Bernthald's Frank. We have Deborah Ann Wool's Karen, but we also have I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but we have Vanessa, we have Dex, who else? Like even Foggy, for as little as he was in this season, we have Foggy was a reshoot thing. So like maybe not the character name and everything, but you know, the actual actor, yes. So taking all those scenes into account, it's crazy that they did, you know, if you took out all those scenes, like what was the show about? Maybe it had the same sort of structure and same plot line about Fisk and, you know, all of his machinations. You know, it just fleshes it out so much more when you can actually include those characters and you can actually show how it affects our world that we've lived in. Because, you know, taking out Vanessa, taking out, well, I think Vanessa was recast actually, so that part might have been similar. But, you know, Frank and Karen were very heavily featured in this episode specifically. But, you know, with that in mind, like what was the show originally gonna look like? And I think we look at, I want to say episode 5, the bank heist episode. You know, that was very obviously the original production of the show because it has the MCU tie with Kamala Khan, MCU synergy, whatever you want to call it, but also just the way it was directed. I didn't mind that episode, but it did feel very much like a bottle episode. It felt very much like unrelated, largely unrelated to the main plot. You know, it obviously helped progress and get forward momentum for what the whole idea with this anti-vigilante task force is and all that stuff. But, and, you know, some character growth and development for Matt, like taking on that Daredevil persona again. But it was very much like, again, I said during the episode, it feels like we're going here and then we go this way and then we're going to go back here. So it was just a weird, yeah, just, I don't know how to feel. Obviously I feel let down, but also just, again, you know, with what we have and knowing all the struggles and cutting that slack for the team, I think it was a good season, serviceable season, you know. I think part of my letdown is I had there was this quote thrown around in discussion about the show that apparently there was going to be an MCU name drop and like a cameo too, and people were joking, you know, this was before this episode had aired, but they were joking like, so is that still on the table, or was like Swordsman the cameo? Because I at this point that's what I think it was. It was either that or Kamala Khan, but even she didn't like. She was a Funko Pop, you know. She didn't show up. That's an unfair expectation, I think. To you know, unfair on my part. You know, that is not something I should be taking into account. But it was kind of let down. I was a little bit like, damn, we didn't get anything, you know, concrete or like special with that. But at the same time, that shouldn't be what the show should be about. You know, this show has a hard time also. I'm going everywhere. I'm so sorry. It has a hard time because it's a legacy from the Marvel shows, which were very insular. They were very, yes, they're in the MCU, and yes, they were, you know, referencing events like the Avengers and all this shit. But at the same time, it's divorced from all that, you know. And so now being on Disney Plus and being a reboot and like bringing in those Marvel character or those Netflix characters, you have that half expectation of, well, it's going to be like the Marvel, you had that expectation that it's going to be like the Netflix shows in that it's going to be insulated. It's going to not reference the larger Marvel plot. It's not going to, you know, deal with all what the movies are dealing with and everything. But at the same time, we have a precedent of the Disney Plus shows now being so MCU synergistic. You know, we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we have WandaVision, you know, even Hawkeye and the Marvels, Miss Marvel, sorry. Those are all informing the larger MCU, you know, the movies and stuff. So at the same, you know, Loki, we have this expectation that, well, just because it is a TV show doesn't mean it can't have larger implications. But I think, you know, it's a weird thing of like the perception of the show also kind of makes it hard to enjoy it at times because you have expectations about what, you know, a Disney Plus series is supposed to be. I keep talking around it, but I'm trying to like focus on like how do I actually feel about this show. Again, bringing back Karen and Frank, I think it really did set a good tone for the show. If not, oh god, sorry, the freeze frame on the head squishing, like that was, again, that is honestly on par with the original Netflix gore. Like I know people think about, I'm thinking about like the car scene where Fisk is bashing the guy's head in with the car door. You know, that's even there though, like it was largely inferred violence, and you know we only see the after, like we see goop. We don't see like an actual ragdoll body. You know, or think of like the Punisher, you know, scraping what's his face's face against the mirror and then gouging the one dude's eyes out. You know, maybe the eye gouge is like on the same level, but still, it's just even that kind of stuff. It's like whatever. So I'm surprised they went there with this show because again, yes, they had been going a mature route, and you know there's blood splat everywhere. It's a lot of CGI blood shit going on, which I didn't like. A lot of the fight scenes, you know, Frank going on the rampage against the task force, for example. It was nice action choreography to an extent, but I just kept getting taken out because of the CGI blood. You know, I wish there was a way to make it more practical. Even the raid on Matt's apartment, similar situation where the slow-mo was taking me out, but also just the CGI-ness of it. And I'm trying not to. It's so hard not to talk about the behind the scenes and the comparisons. You know, we have the original Netflix shows was so practical, so much practicality with it that it made all the violence seem more realistic. Whereas here, all the violence is so CG and so After Effects that it's hard to take that seriously. I will say the one improvement I do like for this show, as far as the combat and action sequences go, is Daredevil's billy clubs. They're not just these sticks that he's bonking people on the head with, they're like actually collapsible, and has the ripcord, has different little attachments, so like a grappling hook. I like that. Again, I call it fantastical, but the comic bookness of it, where it's not just the stick he's running around with, it's actually a functional. Frank made fun of him like for being Inspector Gadget, but that's what Daredevil is, and I like that part of it, that inclusion here. So I cut it. I don't want to say cut it some slack, but I like that part of it. It's just a weird zone of honoring the past, but also embracing the future, and I don't think they've quite found that stride yet of doing that. Okay, let me think about actual plot. Let me think about. I keep thinking about production shit, and let me focus on the plot here. So I said at the beginning, I like that Vanessa had released Poindexter. Kind of don't like that, again, Nadim's death his impact of his death got rewound and backtracked a little bit, because that the corrupt FBI angle, that was the little loophole that got Fisk out of jail. That sucks, but it helps explain, okay, this is why Fisk got out, and now Vanessa is like, well, since he got acquitted, let me extend the offer to you. I think there is a little bit of a weird unacknowledged part. Originally Bullseye was so intent on killing Vanessa. I think it was more of a revenge thing for killing Julie, or whatever her name was, his North Star. I believe that's what his intention was for trying to kill Vanessa, but then I don't think they really addressed that here at all. Yes, he did linger on her for a second when he had his scope out, but at the end of the day, he went after Fisk. So I just think it's funny, at the end of season 3 was such the literal last scene was so focused on this 3-way fight for trying to protect Vanessa or trying to kill her, and then here it's just like Vanessa can do whatever the fuck she wants. I just think it's a funny little disconnect between the seasons. I believe her name is Shelley. I'm so sorry if that's not her name in this show, but Fisk's political aid that has somehow been grandfathered into his empire. I really like what they're doing with her character. I was afraid that she was going to get killed off by Fisk or something because of her moral stance, but she is a survivalist at the end of the day. I mentioned during the episode, I'm surprised that she is still around in his conglomerate. Daniel is obviously supposed to be like the one he handpicked, but then we also have Shelley, who is like the state-appointed version of Daniel, and so they clash in that aspect. But I'm really surprised that she has made it this far, and she continues to live. Obviously, I love that she is guilt-stricken over what she's done, and her sort of tactic of survival here is a really interesting angle they're playing with. If she did die, I was gonna, spoilers for Gotham, by the way, but I was gonna say it would be similar to her character arc in Gotham, which is funny. But yeah, I'm excited to see what angle, if they use her in season 2. She's a good addition, I think. There's some characters I could do with in season 2. There's some that I'm like, if you leave them behind, that's fine. They kind of made it a point that Kirsty McDuffie got the files from Foggy's case, so maybe she'll, at the end there, it's kind of like that we're going to work in the dark to bring out the light kind of deal, so maybe she'll be the one to sort of... Well, it's a weird thing of like, she needs to be one to put out into the world that, hey, this court case was going to be dismissed and all, bringing that sort of Freeport news to life, but also to light. But if she does that, she puts a target on her head, and maybe Fisk and Vanessa will go after her now. So I don't know, but I do like that they're kind of including her in that way. Cherry, a lot of people don't like Cherry. I don't care for him. It's different than don't like. I just don't care. If he continues, fine, but I just want him to be written better. If he doesn't continue, I understand, because he's a nothing burger. Detective Kim, I think is her name. She was in the end scene there. We got BB. I hope to see more of BB. I think that'd be good. They had Hector's daughter or niece or whoever. I could take her or leave her. Like I was expecting her to have the amulet for a second, but she was just like standing there in front of the cops. Josie. I don't think Josie's gonna have any plot importance. Yeah, you know, I like where we're building to. It's just, again, it does sort of suck that it feels very build up with no payoff. You know, I was hoping we'd get more finality, but it's so obviously a mid-season kind of like cliffhanger. You know, okay, we'll see you again in a couple months. I don't think it's going to show up in a couple months. I think it's going to be, I don't think like season 2 is anywhere near done yet. so I'm expecting like next year or the year after, but it does feel like a traditional, I don't have good examples, but you know, I think of like CW shows when I was watching The Flash, for example. There would be like a mid-season break during the winter or whatever, and then they pick up back at it in the spring. And so this felt like that mid-season kind of like, yes, we resolve some things, but we're also cliffhangering so that you're waiting in the wings for the next season and for the rest of the season to drop, the rest of this plot point to continue. And so I just, the viewer, the audience part of me is like, I wish there was more finality, because now I'm going to be like wondering like, how is this rest of the season going to be? Which is a good marketing tactic. It's just, I also kind of feel like the way that they're setting it up, I don't know. I just hope that things go better in season 2 from a production standpoint. Heather, I didn't even talk about Heather. Her joining up with Fisk is so it's understandable with what information she has. Fisk was her client. Honestly, that's maybe a bit of a breach of contract there with HIPAA or something. I don't know. But, you know, from her standpoint, Fisk was her client. She you know, treating him as such and dealing with their marriage, like, fine, you know, okay, she knows him that in that capacity. And then this random lawyer that, you know, you went on a date with and now you're kind of dating, starts spewing off all this nonsense about Fisk is after me through you, and you know, he's the real danger, the mayor is out to get us. You know, I understand where she is coming from as a sensible character. I just think it's ridiculous that, okay, after all is said and done, I am going to now accept a job from the mayor that was your client. Yeah, again, I think it's more the client relationship there of like, you're a mental health professional, you're a doctor. Just again, the healthcare angle of like, I don't think that should be a line you should be crossing of like, now I'm gonna work for you. So I'm curious to see where her storyline goes. You know, I want to see where that ends up with Heather. You know, I'm assuming it sounds like they broke up, but it's just like, where do we go? Speaking of that, Matt and Karen, I'm curious what people think. I don't ship it that much. I love them as friends. I love them as like very close friends, but I don't want to see them together. You know, I mentioned some other time that I like him and Elektra really a lot. So, but she's dead. You know, for the intents of the world that we're in, I don't expect her to be around unless they pull out something out of their ass and like, oh yeah, she's revived again. So, but they did kind of set up a little bit of like, will they, won't they at the end here. So I don't know if they're kind of fishing for what audiences want, or like they're kind of hedging their bets still about how they want to go with that relationship. And I know a lot of people are memeing about the fact that it's either going to be memes for if Foggy is revealed to be alive versus like a suicide note. It's like, I'm sad that they killed Foggy off. But again, they did mention that he is going to be returning for season 2 along with Deborah Ann Wool, Eldon Hansen. Yes, sorry. So again, it's either going to be flashbacks only, which would suck, or there is some sort of magical world where he is alive. And you know, we live in the Marvel universe, so like anything is possible. I'm thinking about, so I've been unrelated tangent a little bit, but there's a point here. So I had just finished. I'm not a big X-Men fan, but you know, out of Marvel, I only read Daredevil and X-Men. I do read some other things every now and then, but those are the ones that I try to keep up with. So I had been stalling with finishing up the Krakoan era because I just didn't want to let it go. But recently I did finish up the Fall of X, and now I'm starting to read after the Fall the new lines from X-Men and X-Force so far, the only ones I've read. But I have Psylocke, I have Storm, I have a couple other ones that I'm like going to see if I want to continue with them. So far, I'm not really enjoying them too much. They're passable, but they're nowhere near the Krakoan era. But my main point is, after all of that turbulence from the Krakoan era, a lot of our characters, I'm thinking of mainly Cyclops. That's part of the art style that they're doing in the X-Men run currently. But it just makes me feel like they're kind of age regressing some of the characters in a way. I do like that they have Juggernaut more prevalent as, a nice little follow-up of he was a villain, but then because of Krakoa, he kind of became this unsteady ally, and now he's like a full-on like X-Men, even though he's not a mutant. I like that angle. So there is like an evolution of sorts of these characters, but there is also a little regression, I feel like. Cyclops, I think, also was kind of evolving. He was very much, I don't want to say he was the Boy Scout, but I think Krakoa kind of hardened him. And I'm seeing a lot in this X-Men run of him. He's going up against the U.S. government a lot. And this one dude, I can't remember his name, but this one agent, he keeps like talking to him and being like, if you fuck with me, I will do X, Y, and Z. And I don't give a shit anymore because you guys killed my family and you guys did all this. So I love that, again, this sort of evolution of his character of like, he tried playing it by this way and that way, but now he's just unhinged about it. So the main point of me bringing up the X-Men run here is it sort of informs the larger Marvel universe as a whole. Whereas DC, they do a lot of resets and like timeline continuity shit, the crises events in DC. It's usually like a way to reset a storyline and kind of backtrack. Like, okay, we're going to de-age some characters. We're going to kind of wipe out some plot lines so that way we can reintroduce new things. And the characters kind of stay perpetually young in a way. Whereas from what I've read of Marvel, the way they kind of deal with rebooting stuff is just, they don't. I think a lot of times they don't really reboot. Yes, they'll do resurrections, and yes, they'll do like time travel shenanigans. Again, just reading specifically from the X-Men comics, they mention a lot of events from decades and decades ago. Even though I haven't read it, everyone knows about Scarlet Witch and how the No More Mutants storyline. They mention that a lot of times. They mention Genosha. They mention all these big events from the past, and it's never like undone as far as like erasing that completely. Yes, they might retcon or like change the status quo of what's happening, but if somebody dies, they died, and then they get resurrected, and then they die and they resurrect, stuff like that happens. And so my whole point of bringing that up is I wouldn't be surprised if like Foggy, for example, or Elektra, they come back in a way. It would be the Marvel way to do things. Yes, there needs to be stakes, and yes, there needs to be consequences for characters, but at the same time, it is very in-house for Marvel to be like, yes, they died, but here's this XYZ way of why they're back now. And so I could see that happening for season 2 and for Foggy. Okay, I think I've tangented myself out. At the end of the day, I enjoyed this series, this season, but I do kind of wish I could see a different version of it, And then, again, prediction, since this season is heavily... Oh, we got to talk about Cold North in a second, sorry. I'm not done babbling yet. Prediction, I mean, this season does take so much inspiration from the Devil's Reign storyline that there needs to be a Luke Cage plotline in season 2. Please bring my boy back. Like, I think it would be such a great continuation of his storyline, especially because last time we saw him in I think season 2 of Luke Cage, but also he cameoed in Jessica Jones at the end. he had gone down this sort of Kingpin-esque path of like, I'm gonna be almost an anti-hero, and like stick up for Harlem and still be a good guy, but he's not afraid to go down that sort of darker path. And so I think it would be a great time to reintroduce his character. Again, he is the Power Man. He is bulletproof, and yes, he can still be hurt and stuff, but like I think it would be a great time to introduce a character who is not going to be threatened by somebody like Kingpin, because be realistic, who's going to hurt him? And it would be good foil for Fisk to be a character running against him, showing how vigilantes can be good, and also just be having somebody who is strong enough to stand up to Fisk. So I really like that, but I think also if they did include him, he would have to be such a major character that it will almost take away from Daredevil. So I don't think they would tread in that camp. But who knows? That's just my lofty wish for season 2, is that we have Luke Cage running for mayor against Fisk. Cole North, again from the Zdarsky run, just complete fumbling of his character. Such a disappointment. I was really holding out hope that there was something more to him, but no, he's just, hey, we got a character from the comics in here, let's put him in, and he can be part of the task force that hates vigilantes. Yes, he does dislike vigilantes, but that's because he is so uptight about the law and being like lawful good and shit. I think a lot of people mistake, I don't think the writers necessarily mistake that, I think they just made a poor decision, but a lot of people mistake lawful as like D&D alignment to mean I will always follow the book. What lawful means is you follow your own set of rules. It could be, that's why there's the good versus evil spectrum along with it. To me, Cole North was always a lawful good. He followed the rule of the law, but he was, at the end of the day, he was also trying to do the best for the people. He wasn't this brutalist that was just trying to do whatever because I don't know what his motivation was in the show, but he wasn't like this in the comics. So I'm just upset with how they did that character, and if because of the character assassination, it brings to my mind of like, well, did they include him as Cole North because they wanted an actor of color to be a prominent character in a way, in which case that was bad. Diversity doesn't necessarily mean just including characters to include them. It means doing those characters justice also, and I don't think they did that character justice. For someone who doesn't read the comics, I'm interested to see what they thought about Cole North. Trying to divorce him from the comics, he was very much a nothing burger. It should have been Powell. That it would have made so much more sense if Powell was the one to do it, but I feel like Powell should have been the one that killed Hector. If that's what they wanted to do, it would have just made a lot more sense if he was the one, and it would have brought up a lot more animosity. But again, I think they were trying to take some quotas here with having Cole North included. They're like, well, he can't just be this dude. He has to have plot relevance, and he was the one who killed Hector. It's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense, but that's the way you want to play it. Okay, I think for real this time, I'm going to stop babbling because I've probably been talking for like half an hour, and we don't need that. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you guys think about the season? Again, I have a lot of mixed thoughts, and I think it's just because of the production value, all the behind the scenes stuff that I know, and so I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can about it. And again, I did enjoy the season. It was fun to watch something Marvel again. I really haven't watched a lot of Marvel since I had WandaVision on my channel. I stopped watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier like one episode in. Yeah, I haven't really watched a lot since Infinity War and Endgame. So it's fun to jump into that world from time to time, but I think it's also emblematic of like they just don't know what they're doing. I don't want to say it like that, but there was such a simple recipe you had to follow. Bring back the people from Daredevil, the Marvel Netflix shows, and then make a new storyline. But they kind of fumbled the ball with that. So that's the succinct version of my thoughts on this show. Excited to see where we go for season 2, and we will be reacting to it. You can find me in other videos. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I will watch some other Marvel stuff. But again, I have been spoiled by a lot of stuff just being online. So, okay. I'm going to stop talking for real this time. Good night. Thank you for watching. See you when I see you. Have a good day. Peace out.